Close. Okay.
Erev Tov, everyone. These last hardships of the Torah, this week alone, when you tell them about and this week's parsha, we will have the terrible tochacha, which is one end of the covenant, and the brachos, which are the other end of the covenant. But that it's all part of this arrangement, so to speak. Now, the arrangement begins at Sinai. V'yisim li zgula mikol ha'amim ki li kol ha'aretz. You will be to me a zgula. So what does a zgula mean? It's a special, individualistic, unique, cannot be replicated. And that's the Rabbi Shalom says, you'll be the zgula mikol ha'amim. And in this week's parsha, we also are called Segula. This week's parsha, the Jewish people, and Marta, the Ribono Shalom should be our God. And the Ribono Shalom Hamircha liot lo Segula mikol ha'amim. The Ribono Shalom set you aside to be a Segula. So that's an unbreakable thing, a Segula. The Mefarshim discussed the fact that we'll see later, we see in the Chumash, and we'll see it later, that there are constant attempts by Klal Yisrael to avoid being a Segula. Moshe will tell them, you'll come to the land and you'll see, great and mighty tribes, nations, empires, and that they have a different religion. They worship a different God, and they seem to be successful, and they seem to be stronger and more numerous than you are. So therefore, how can it be that everybody worships their God and it's all different than us? That we were alone, so to speak. So so I'll also, everybody's doing it, so we follow the culture of the time, the ideals and societies of the time that we live in. We don't live in a bubble. So Ve'asechein Gamoni, I'm also going to do it. So Moshe warns them, Mishomer Lecho, be careful, don't even think that way. Because you're Segula. The Bon Shalom has chosen you to be separate, to be different. So you have to be able to convert that feeling of being different into the feeling of being proudly different, strongly different. And that's really what it means, Ha'amircha, Ha'amarta, that verb that's used. The verb literally means to proclaim. We proclaim God in the world, and he proclaims, so to speak, the Jewish people in the world. The fact that the Jewish people are in the world is itself a proclamation of the fact that the Lord is in the world as well, so to speak. And that's the relationship. But we see from the words of Moshe, and then onwards throughout Tanakh, the period of the Shoftim and of the Melachim, and later on, that there is a distinct attempt always to escape from being the Segula Mikol Ha'ami. Famous incident in the Novi Yechezkel, that the leaders of the tribes of Israel, they're in the exile. So they gave up on ever coming back to Eretz Yisrael in a short period of time. In 50 years, they gave up on it. And they said, the Beit HaMikdash is destroyed. Jerusalem's in ruins. We're under Babylonian control. We have no independence whatsoever. It's over. So they came to the Navi and they told him the famous phrase, K'chol hagoyim beis Yisrael. The house of Israel is like every other nation in the world. Nations rise and fall. They become great and then they become weak and disappear. I mean, if you think about it, all of the empires that began the 20th century, none of them concluded it. Nobody was around anymore. And the 21st century looks like it also will take its toll. So the heads of the tribes of Israel said to the Navi, so okay, because what happens to everybody else happens to us. And we give up and we're going to worship the gods of Babylonia, Persia, etc. But the Navi has no answer for them. One of the remarkable vignettes in Tanakh is that the Navi Yechezkel doesn't answer them. Doesn't give them a rebuke. And then we see that the Navi has a vision of prophecy. And in the vision of prophecy, heaven asks him, so to speak, what happened today? Who did you speak to today? Heaven always enters into conversations in a courteous manner. So he said, the elders of Israel came to me. Ma omru elecha, what did they say to you? So he said, they said to me, we're just going to be like everybody else. There's no more zgula. There's no more as Hashem Elokecha Emarto, Emircha Hashem Elokecha. None of that exists anymore. It's over. More Marta Alehem. So what did you answer them? God says. So the Novi said, Aho Hashem Elokim ato yodea. Lord, you're the only one that can know. I don't know what to say. So Ko Amar Hashem Sokas. Tell them, Hoyo lo yiyeh adover hazeh. They should forget about it. That's never going to be K'chol hagoyim beis Yisrael. That's never going to happen. Lo kiyem lo chaleim v'chein v'shvucha v'izroa netuya. I'll rule over them. But it'll be a rule of anger. So even in the negative, even in the anger, they remain zgula. And that's what happened, because immediately thereafter, you have the fact that the Persians take over, and then you have Achashverosh, and you have Haman, and the miracle of Purim. So then the Jewish people, Kimu v'kiblu aleim. So then they re-accepted the Torah. Then they said, okay, we're going to live up to our end of the bargain. We're going to be Hamir, we're going to proclaim God in the world no matter what. That really, if you think about it, is the story of the Jewish people throughout history. Very hard to be a minority. In the world of, a billion Christians and a billion Muslims and a billion Hindus. And we have to struggle to get 1 million from Mincha Maariv. It's very hard. And therefore, the natural tendency is to say, K'chol hagoyim beis Yisrael. We want to be like everybody else. We don't want to be different. It's interesting, in the United States, over the past 70, 80 years, groups that identify themselves as minorities have achieved special consideration from the government, from society, etc. If you're Black, you have a better chance of getting your child into a major university than if you're just a regular white. Affirmative action, ideas such as that. The Jewish people never applied, the Jews in America never applied to be a minority. The Asians are a minority. There are tens of millions of Asians, but they're still a minority. The Afro-Americans are a minority. The Hispanics that are 40 million, they're a minority. The Jews that are who knows what, oh, we're not a minority. We're American. And that is the psychology of trying to escape from being the zgula, of trying to escape from the brit. So these parshas really speak to us. Moshe Rabbeinu is speaking to us directly. How to build ourselves up, that we should be able, Hashem Elokim, Amarta Lios Lo Elokim, to proclaim our God in the world. And to realize that it's not a numbers game. And to realize that somehow the covenant that we entered into on Har Sinai long ago was still valid. And that we're held to it. And that is part of the a Jewish entity that we exist within. So Rabbi Hanania ben Akash Omer Rotza Kadosh Baruch Hu V'Zakas Yisrael Ficha Chibur Lahem Torah Mitzvot Shenemar Adonai Chafetz Man Tzidko Yagdil Torah V'Yagdil.
Kadash Meiraba, Yom Yirah, Mincha Maariv Shiur.